folks, and welcome to Tuneful Tuesday. And well, I promised last week, didn't I, that before I started the video for Tuneful Tuesday, I'd insert a quick trivia question, and that's what I'll do. I'll ask the question now, and I don't want you cheating. There's no Googling on this one, please. So have a little think, and I will answer the question at the end of this video. Here we go. Oh, and the subject matter for this one, Patti Smith. If you like your Patti Smith, this one is for you. Cameron Crowe's 1982 movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, was based on a public school in which Los Angeles coastal town, a community that also gave its name to the title of a Patti Smith song. What was the name of that song? Have a little think. I will tell you at the end of the video. Welcome to Tuneful Tuesdays, and today, well, we're gonna do some musical rambling, which means I'm gonna ramble incoherently, quite possibly. I'm going to throw a few thoughts and ideas out there, and I'd like your contribution, please. If you would like to carry on the conversation down yonder, then I'd be very happy to have that conversation with you. Talk amongst yourselves if you fancy, if I'm not around. And the subject of this video, well, it's to do with bands, groups that decide to split. Well, one of those reasons is down to the rather famous musical differences, which, as you and I both know, can mean just about anything. It can, of course, mean just that, which is often the most surprising thing of all. It can also, now I come to think of it, come down to girlfriends imposing themselves upon the rest of the band and sleeping on a mattress while the rest of the guys are trying to get some work done in the studio. Thank you very much indeed, actually, if that's all right with you, John. But many of the reasons that culminate in the eventual disintegration of any one band falls to one word, I would say, and that word is called money. There's nothing that makes a musician feel as unloved as not getting a fair shake. It's all about credit, really. It's about the land grab, isn't it? Once those starry young fools, the same silly sods who couldn't do enough for everyone involved at the beginning and were just glad to be here, when those self-same kids wised up and realized that they're being taken for a ride by the record labels, well, they suddenly understood that it's the songwriter that makes all the money, and they're subsisting on pocket money, and they're getting older, and they're starting to think, am I destined to be a homeless derelict with a few memories and 10 ex-wives? Then the conversations become rather serious. This increasingly nagging subject, this talk about monetary wealth for the lucky songwriters attached to successful bands, this is a growingly important matter, and it has caused more arguments and court cases and the fracturing of bands and personal relationships than just about anything else. Isn't that right, Pink Floyd, and to some extent the Beatles, and you there, the Smiths, and even the Jam? Now, is this why the members of Queen always looked so calm, collected, happy, and content? Was it because they split the cash 4 ways? Well, I would wager yes, that was the case. Actually, I don't know the exact contract details of their cash split, but I do know that the likes of Blur and REM and especially U2 had the sense to look around them before they jumped into the murky world of rock music management, and especially rock music contracts. All three bands, so I'm given to understand, they give 20% of the takings to the songwriter. After that, well, the remaining 80% of the income, that's evenly split between the band themselves. And that includes the songwriter, who's now seen in that 80% as a musician. This means that everyone is getting a fair slice of the pie. Your musicians are getting a cut, and the songwriter who does extra work while the others are down the pub, he gets an extra cut, and that's a fair shake, I would say. Writing the song is incredibly important, I'm sure you'll agree, but so is the arrangement of that song, and also the final composition, which often features incredibly important contributions by the rest of the band. Shouldn't they feel valued and part of a team in such circumstances? Well, I think so. Let me ask you this. I wonder how Herbie Flowers feels. Now, Herbie Flowers is a long-standing, much respected and talented guitar player who's appeared on his own records, yes, but also many others belonging to other artists. I wonder how he feels when his iconic bass line on Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side results in exactly zero monetary credit. Reed himself is quoted as the songwriter, but surely where would that song be without Herbie Flowers' bass? Now, if Herbie had been in the studio and he'd said, Lou, I'll just sit here, shall I? You record that song with your acoustic, and I'll wait. No rush, old son. Well, that song would have been a shadow of its present self. Flowers deserves a formal credit for his part in that arrangement. And I don't know, did he have anything creative to actually add in songwriting terms relating to that bass line perhaps, or any other part of that album? How about the song Come Together from the Beatles? Where would that song be without Ringo's much derided drums? A much maligned musician is our Ringo, but he's critical on that song. Absolutely critical. Now, the rather selfish behaviour of a lot of bands out there, which causes all this argument and rancour, that's all down to tradition and a pre-group way of thinking. It's a sort of Tin Pan Alley mindset, a sort of Brill building way of doing business. What do I mean by that? Well, it's a bit like saying, my friend and I are here and we are the songwriters, and we've just finished our song, so here it is. Now, would you like to sing our song, Mr. Singer? Okay, you get paid for doing whatever you do. We get paid for writing that song, for selling the sheet music. That's the way it was back in the day, back in the 1930s, 1940s, and the 50s. It was a sort of us and them structure that never really changed when the revolutionary pop group band became a dominant form. In the early 60s, band members began to write their own songs in and around that time. But at that time, a hit record was suddenly more than just the song. The song was, well, it was kind of bespoke to a particular set of musicians at that time, and no other group or no other musicians. And that group contributed to the house sound that turned that song into something unique. So what I mean by that is, okay, one guy may have written the song, but the song was brought to life and made a hit, possibly, by the entire band. The entire band is one unit. It wasn't just the songwriter. So the whole band should really be getting a credit, a share of the profits. Trouble was, the trad way of writing songs was never really changed or updated. So, when your group splits, you know who to blame. A conservative music industry who, when faced with change rather than innovate, runs screaming back to a secure template that they know works and pays. And that's me done. I've had my ramble. Thank you very much for Tuneful Tuesdays. And I'd love to know what you think. If you have any thoughts about what I've said, if you agree, if you disagree, I would love to know why, and I'd love to know your take, your angle on the subject. So please comment below. I'd love to know some examples too. If you can throw in some bands who either get on very well, why do they get on very well? If you know any insight and any sort of behind the scenes info, I'd love to know. Of course, I would also like to know if you have any of your own favourite bands who have split up and your thoughts on that split. Why did they split, in your opinion? What was wrong? What drew them to that decision? It might have been money. It might have been girlfriends. It might have been something else. I'd love to know. Obviously, it's not all money-based, a group splitting. There's a host of different reasons. So let me know. Let me know about your favourites and why they dispersed. And before I go, may I remind you that there's a chapter list down below. You can hunt around this particular video if you'd like to navigate. There are some links to my Facebook group, my website, and also my Patreon page. And I will be back on Friday for Patreon members, or Sunday for everyone else, with a hi-fi related video. What are we going to do for next time round? Well, it could be, I don't know. I tell you what, I will put a little hint or three in the little community tab down there. Check that out, because I do put information in there about forthcoming video subjects and other thoughts and questions. There's a community tab down there somewhere. If it's not on your app, try the browser option. Go to YouTube through a browser. You should see the community tab. I think sometimes it's not on the app, this community tab. Some of you have said you can't find it. Like I say though, if you go to YouTube through the browser, the community tab does pop up, I think, there. Anyway, please check that out, because I do like to chat through that community tab out of hours, if I can put it that way. In the meantime, I'd love to have your company on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, whenever you'd like to tune in, basically. So I look forward to having your company in the next hi-fi related video around the weekend. And until that time, bye-bye. Hang on, where's my hand? Okay, here it is. Bye-bye for now.